Welcome back to another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today, as we promised every day this week, the drops are about Carolina basketball. The season starts next Monday. Tar Heels host Elon, and then a few days later, they will be at Kansas. I will be in Lawrence for that game. Looking forward to seeing what this club's all about. A huge, huge early test for these Tar Heels. And regardless of what happens, don't get too excited if they win. Don't get too down if they lose, because remember, it'll be just early November. And this team, and we'll talk more about this when Jacob and I do our show this week, the basketball show, and I'm going to do something in a drop for Friday about it. This team's going to be very evolutionary. It's going to evolve over time. It has to, because the different parts that are coming together. And there's going to be guys that are going to continue to get better. Some of the young ones, how the freshmen do and all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the guys I'm going to talk about right now. We already did Ian Jackson a couple weeks ago. We're doing Drake Powell today, the Drake Powell preview pod, a preview drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And our YouTube channel is Tar Heel Illustrated. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, do it now. Go ahead, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get updates every time we upload. Make sure you tell all of your Tar Heel friends that we're here. And while you're at it, tell them about TarHeelIllustrated.com. Just $8.33 a month. You can be a Tar Heel insider too. You can gift a subscription to somebody. It's a perfect time of year to start doing stuff like that. And you get a ton of stuff that you never see on these videos, that you never see on the free content on our front page. All right, Drake Powell, 6'6", 195, local kid, which is part of his story, because so many guys go on and highly touted players go on and play at big-time, heavy travel schools, and Drake stayed local. And I've talked to some people who know him, have known him for a while, and they just say that's the kind of kid he is. He's a very loyal guy. He's a very grounded and base guy. And on my limited experiences with him in the last month or so, that's the impression I get. He's articulate. I think he understands who he is. I think he understands exactly where his game is at this time and where it needs to go. And he's very confident. He's confident because there are some things that he knows he does well already and can be an asset at this level already. He's wiry. He's long at 6'6". I don't know what the wingspan is exactly. I need to ask him. But it looks to me like it's in the 6'9", 6'10" range. He's long. He's bouncy, but he's not the kind. There's some guys who are bouncy and they get out of position. He's bouncy and smooth. He can bounce when he needs to, but he's very smooth. He doesn't look stressed. We've seen him at Memphis. Struggled a little bit there, but he played better than Ian in that game. And I think because he's ahead of Ian defensively, I think that probably gave him a little confidence, because he knew he did some good things, had a block shot in that game. But also the other day against Johnson C. Smith, he plays with his head up. He sees the floor. There's a gliding aspect to how he goes about things. That's where the smoothness and the stress-free look that he gives on the court. It doesn't look like the game's too fast for him yet. Now, that may look very different at Fall Gallon Fieldhouse. Excuse me. It may look very different there. It may look different against Alabama. I don't know. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it plays right into his wheelhouse. Maybe he truly is that guy in all situations already. If he's not, I think he'll become that in a large degree this season, and certainly beyond if he stays at Carolina more than 1 year, which a lot of people think he's probably a 2 or 3 year guy. Of course, that could be very wrong. David Sisk had a piece the other day about how Drake and Ian are up there on the NBA radars for next summer. Well, let's see how things play out over the next 5 months. But I love the composed aspect that he plays. And I'll give you an example of a play. And I talked about this with Chelsea Sipple in our 3 things on Sunday, but he got a defensive rebound, went skied over other bigs. Like, he owned that rebound. Sometimes you see a guy go up there and say, that is mine. Came down with it, head up, went up the court, not just a straight beeline. He kind of, I wouldn't say yo-yoed, but he did a little bit, had a little crossover. He was looking for a lane, looking for something, saw a lane, darted, help side defense came over. He tried to dump a little pass off to Van Allen Lubin. It wasn't a great pass, but I guarantee you when Hubert Davis and Jeff Liebel and those guys went over the film with him, they said, that's exactly it. Love the vision, love the patience, love how smooth it went. He just didn't complete the pass. He'll complete it at some point, and Lubin will flush. He'll finish. And I like that play because it showed sort of all the things that Drake Powell has right now in one swoop. And I think that that's important, with the exception of the defense. And I have to go back and look at the tape. Maybe he forced the miss too. Who knows? But so much is made about his defense that there are a lot of things about his offense to like. Now, he doesn't look like he's a great shooter yet. That could come, but I don't think he needs to be. And that's one of the great things about the two main freshmen. Not really going to include James Brown in this, but Ian and Drake, they don't have to be super productive right now because they're playing with a bunch of other older productive guys, a team that could win without them, win a lot without them. So they just need to go in and be who they are. For Drake, got a little more. He's got hands and more baskets than Ian does with his game right now. And the defensive aspect, I think, is why early you might see him get some quality minutes at times that maybe Ian doesn't get, because Ian's game still has to come along with the defensive end and with some of the intangibles. But of course, we all know that Ian can fill it up. He can attack. He can create problems and stress defenses. I think Drake has some of that in him too, but maybe there's a little more pull up. He's not as emphatic a player, but there is some of that in his game. But I don't think his game is totally based on that. I think Ian's game is based on just getting in and attacking, being aggressive. And that's what's going to be fun about watching the two of them this year. And certainly watching a guy like Drake Powell, because of all the little things that he does well, and he's just going to elevate that more. And maybe some of the other stuff will come along down the road, depending on how much playing time he gets. But I do think that he's going to play. And I think there are going to be some games where he plays quite a bit. In fact, he was in late for defensive reasons at Memphis. Now, you say it's an exhibition game, but Hubert was playing that thing to win. I was right behind Hubert on press row. He was working the officials. He was getting on his players. And that was a dress rehearsal for live action. And he had Ian out there. So I thought that was impressive. And I do think just watching these young guys, I know people are going to be glued to them. There's an eye candy aspect of it. They're going to over-inflate when they do really good things, and they're going to sort of dismiss when they don't. As I say all the time, I talk about process constantly in both sports. Players have processes too. So if these guys do a couple electrifying things, that doesn't mean the whole game is there. And I think some people are looking at what Ian did the other day and say, oh, man, that guy's got to start and all that. Let everything play itself out, including with Drake. If Drake doesn't shoot well for a while, let it play itself out. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm saying there's a possibility he might not, because he's a freshman. He's got a lot on his plate. And it's a different ball game when you get out there in Fall Gallon Fieldhouse, or when you go out to Maui. I mean, that stretch they have of games, the 3 in Maui. And then when they come back and they play Alabama, then they got Georgia Tech, which isn't terrible. There'll be some tough guys they have to deal with there. So they've got a slate coming up, and maybe Drake's head spins a little bit, but I think he'll come out of it. He's an IQ guy, smart guy. He's a base guy. And I think it's going to be really fun, really interesting watching him through the course of this season. If you are excited about Drake Powell this year as a freshman and perhaps beyond, go ahead and click like on this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell so you get updates every time we upload. Head on over to TarHeelIllustrated.com. Just $8.33 a month, guys, for a 1-year sub. You can be a Tar Heel Insider too. You can also gift it to somebody. It's that time of year now. And you can come back tomorrow, because we got another Carolina basketball daily drop tomorrow. We're doing just Carolina basketball and the daily drops this week. Don't worry, we have our football show. We've got a ton of football coverage too, but we want to get a bunch of drops in as we lead up to the start of the basketball season Monday night against Elon. I'm AJ, and I appreciate you stopping by.